on YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. I'm back at it. Welcome back to another live stream, you guys. I hope you are doing well. Thank y'all so much for being here. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. I hope y'all are enjoying your week. So your girl is back in the building. So we gonna hop into this live stream because I'm not gonna keep y'all too long. But I want to talk about this topic that I just saw this morning. And so I kind of scrambled together to get this up here because I want to get your thoughts on this and I want to get my 2 cents on it as well. So we're gonna get into it, you guys. You guys see the title: Doctor calls out Cam Newton for creating broken homes plus more. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Make sure as you come into the building, you hit the like button. Hit the like button, you guys. That is definitely important that you go ahead and hit the like button for me. That definitely helps the live stream out. Shout out to Future King, Puerto Rican Princess. I am Alex Wood. Charles Jameson, what's going on? Atlanta in the building. What's going on, Charles? Ryan Wedlow, what's going on? How are you? Gina's Homely Mills, thank you so much for being here. Lorenzo Redmond in the building. Eric Stiegel, thank you so much for being here. Kevin from Brooklyn, what's up, Kevin? Hustle the Great, how are you? Thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. So as you come in, make sure y'all are hitting the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, all right? Thank you, Lorenzo. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right into this clip. I have the audio for copyright purposes, you guys. So listen to what he had to say and what this lady told him, because I think this is important. When we talk about relationships, commitment, marriage, celebrities, just average people in general who create broken homes. On this channel, I talk about single motherhood and how it's affecting our communities in a major way, and how I think that it's not something that we should be doing as women. But we have to talk about men as well, because it takes two. It's just not the woman. The woman cannot create these babies without the man, and the man cannot, you know what I'm saying? It takes both parties. So, and I don't think that just because you are a celebrity or you make a certain amount of money, that you cannot create broken homes. I don't believe that just because you're famous or rich or whatever, that, you can just make babies all over the place and those kids are not going to suffer as a result. I still think that happens, and money does not exempt you from that. And I think this is where a lot of women get their ideas from men who make good money and say, hey, I can make as many babies as I want to all over the place, but because I can take care of them. Taking care of them financially is only one aspect of taking care of children. That's not the only way or actions that you need to take in order to raise healthy, stable, mentally sane individuals. It takes more than just money. Money is just only one aspect of that. But I think because money is the main issue where most people struggle, that's the main thing that they focus on. But that's not the only thing that you need to raise a child. It's a big part of it, but also that child needs nurturing. That child needs love and mental stability and all these things that two parents, in my opinion, should be attempting at least should be doing in raising children. This is why I say you shouldn't be out here just making babies all over the place and not really being there for them, because those children are going to suffer because of it. So I think families are important. I think stable households are important. And you can have an unstable household with money. Trust me, I've seen a lot of them. There are a lot of unstable households where they had money. Money wasn't the issue, but other things were. And so those children lived in that, and it was trauma to them. And they grew up with a trauma-filled mentality because their household still wasn't stable, even though in some cases now, there were two parents in the household and it was unstable because the parents had issues and the children end up with those issues. So this is why I stress the stable part. Two parents who want kids and want to raise their kids in a stable, loving household doesn't mean it's all, sunshine and roses, but you know what the goal is and you know what your purpose is, and you work in that, within that. And so it's important. it's important to have both parents in the household. And we all know by statistics also show that single fathers are just as stable, as two-parent households. So single fathers do much better than single mothers when it comes to raising a kid. That's just a fact. So that says a lot about single mothers versus single fathers, raising children. So women, it's a lot that we got to learn, and it's not, it shouldn't be taken with any animosity or taken in the wrong way, but it's just information that we can all learn from and possibly do better, because that's the whole point. That's the whole point of these conversations, is to get a different perspective from what we were taught with, what we were raised with, seen as those, that information was not helpful or beneficial. So now it's important to put a different perspective out there, something that a lot of us were not privy to, but others were. And so they have a different outcome, while a lot of Black people in the Black communities have suffered and still don't have the right information, still going on the same information that was given to them by their grandmothers and mothers and whoever else. And that information is not helping. It's not working. So we got to do something differently that will possibly yield us a different result. That's just what it's all about at the end of the day. That's just what it's about at the end of the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip of this audio, and I want you guys to chime in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Here we go.
My situation and not think that I'm not high function.
What situation?
Okay, so I'm not married. I have beautiful children.
How many?
8.
By how many women?
3. And this is the kicker. I want more.
By multiple women? What's the intent?
I just want God
or by
to
your
bring
wife?
them. I just want God to bring them.
Oh, okay.
My desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you had said, Dr. Brian, you said it, I didn't say it, I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
You're not taking your time.
I am, though.
You're being very action-based. You're not taking your time.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action-based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selectively active. Okay? So you're creating, and disclaimer, the kids are innocent, they are beautiful and amazing. Anything I say has nothing to do with them babies. But you are proactively choosing where you live at and where you want to take your time. You want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears. But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families, even if you're in their life and you're a proactive father, and I believe you're an amazing daddy. I can only imagine with just your presence and knowing you. But these families are still broken. Every child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all, will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. Now, you chose to do that. I'm not saying you sat there and woke up one morning and said, I want to be selfish today, so I'm going to go make a baby. Not saying that at all. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior to say that I'm going to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't going to create a home in them. I'm going to wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still going to be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody. And then I'm going to build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses. That's completely unfair and that's selfish. And so, yes, you're taking your time in this department, but you're not taking your time in this department, which means you're compartmentalizing. And compartmentalizing never works. Compartmentalizing hurts everybody involved. Everybody who's in this box and that box and this box and that box and this box. And then here you go over here trying to figure out what box you're going to feed or entertain or do. Then you're looking outside to figure out who's your next victim to put in the box. It's unhealthy.
All right. So what do you guys think about what she had to say? What do y'all think about what she said to him? You know, he has 8 children and 3 baby mamas. I personally don't think that Cam wants to marry anybody. He's saying he's fearful of marriage, which a lot of men are, and they have good reason to be fearful of it, might I add. But I don't think he wants to get married. I think he's doing exactly what he wants to do. Same thing with Nick Cannon. They don't, Nick Cannon was married before to Mariah. But with these women, I don't think that's something that he wants to do again. But they want to make, they want to keep making children. And they have every right to do that. Are agreeing to this. They're not really looking for marriage. And if they are, I don't think they care because of who it is. You know what I mean? It's almost, it's almost like the women who make all the babies with the Pookies and Ray Rays. Only difference is, Pookie and Ray Ray don't really have any money. But Cam Newton has money and Nick Cannon has money. So they're willing to create these, what I would call broken families with these men because these men have money. And I guess they look at the situation as if, I guess we'll be taken care of. I don't know what's in their minds. I don't know their thought process. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, y'all let me know what y'all think in the chat. I personally think that she's absolutely right. It is broken homes. No matter how you try to shift it and shape it and switch it around and make it look cool, these kids are being raised in broken homes. And you as the father, you cannot be in every household adequately to and I'm gonna stop raising. I'm gonna stop saying raising, because to raise a child, it takes way more effort and way more than just money to do that. So I'm going to just say having these kids, because raising a child is way different from you just having a child. Raising a child means you are actually there every single day in that household with that child, actually rearing that child, teaching that child, raising them. They see you on every single day. Even if you go to work, you come home, you're still acting, interactive with your child or your children. You're there, you're feeding them, you're teaching them things, you're showing them stuff. You're doing things with them actively on a daily basis. So just having a child is very different from raising one. That's just my opinion on that. So I just think that it's, and it was interesting to me the same way with Nick Cannon. A lot of the women came out and said that he's not really there. He can't really be there physically with all of those children on a daily basis. They're not gonna see him for a lot of the time. He's not able to actually raise these children. So you're just making babies in broken families. You are not actively in the household with the kids on a daily basis. You can do things for them, you can take care of them financially, but you're not really there. It's impossible to spread yourself all over like that. So yeah, it is a broken home, and it is a selfish act because you're doing what you want to do, not thinking about the consequences that the children will face. And once again, you have women out here who purposely become single mothers using that same example as, I have money, I can take care of my kid. It takes more than just money. There are psychological effects that happen to these kids when they don't have parents there. And on top of that, when things happen to them, because there are a lot of these children who are raised in this way. Either, the mothers are too busy and they're not there, and then the fathers are not there too, and somebody else is raising them. A lot of these children are molested. A lot of these children are abused by nannies or relatives and things of that nature. There are a lot of people who regret about the way they were not able to be there for their children because either their job, a lot of actors or entertainers who was not able to be there with their children when they were little. And so, in some of those cases, these kids were taken advantage of, and they regret it because their work was first, and the children are the ones who actually suffer. So it's a lot of different situations. But I do think when you go out and you create babies all over the place and all these different women, all these different households and things like that, that is considered a broken home. That is not that does not equate to a stable environment with the mom and dad there. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, just look at a lot of celebrities who were famous back in the day, and they look at their children now. A lot of these kids are they're grown now. A lot of them are adults now. Guess what? They're on drugs. They talk about how their parents, their father or their mother or whoever, or both were not there, how they suffered as a result. how they're confused. They don't think the parents love them. They didn't put them first. It's just a lot that goes into that. And if you listen to a lot of the celebrity children, when they talk about these things, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. I mean, it's not a new phenomenon. It's just what it is. Children need stable parents to raise them and teach them values and morals and just love, show them love and be there for them. And if you're not active in their lives, it could cause detrimental effects on their livelihood and their adulthood and how they think and how they see things. And you see a lot of these children are traumatized and they have issues because of that very same thing. So yeah, it's a difference between having children and raising them for sure. I don't, Kuroyasha, I hope I'm saying your name right. Thank you so much for the super chat. It says, Cam is a clown, but these women will get in line to join his circus. Black American women enjoy wallowing in victimhood and rejecting sound solutions. I agree. I 100% agree. And I think this also shows, thank you once Kuroyasha. I hope I'm saying it, 20.99. I hope I'm saying it right. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But and I think once again, yes, as a man, as men, you guys are responsible for your seed and responsible for where you put them things and what y'all do and how y'all, going out here making babies. But once again, the women are the ones who actually can say, no, I don't want to do this. This is not something that is conducive to healthy families and households. So I don't want to be a part of, as you put it, a clown joining the circus. They all for it, and I think that's a part of the problem. As much as we have these women who want to be considered so educated and, you got your ish together and you so smart. And so they do some really dumb stuff and not really understanding the consequences associated with it. So once again, I always say women like to say they're empowered and all of that. And I think to a degree, they do have the power, but they're not using it in a way that is beneficial. Because once again, yes, he can decide that he want to make babies all over the place and not really care about, how this may affect the children. But the women, on the other hand, have a responsibility too. You're the one you're the ones who are allowing the men to do this. If the women would say, no, I'm not becoming a part of your circus, I'm not making babies with you, and then you just you got one with me, you're never going to marry me or commit to me. You got me, you got this one, you got that one, and they're okay with that. As much as they talk about men being cheaters and men being dogs and men are the bottom of the barrel and they don't do this and they do that, you go and settle for something like this. So yes, once again, women are definitely are the ones who have to start making better decisions, because at the end of the day, you are allowing it. Thank you once again for the super chat. I appreciate you. Divine Photo says, I agree with Dr. Bryant. Cam Newton, Nick Cannon, and Future's approach is wrong, but at the same time, some women could have closed their legs, but see the bag. Right, but see the bag. The money. Right. Thank you, Divine Photos. Exactly. So women have the power, but they choose not to use it in a way that will be most beneficial. But at the same time, they're looking at the money. But the funny thing about it, they do it with either it's the money or the attraction level, or both. Because Pookie and Ray Ray don't have money, but it's the attraction. The attraction level is worth more than the benefit when it comes to Pookie and Ray Ray. When you have somebody like Cam Newton, who is famous and has money, it's probably the money and the attraction level that that will allow you to put yourself in that position. Thank you once again for the super chat, Divine Photos. So it's like, that's the only thing. And we talked about this. That's the only thing that matters to a lot of these women, is getting to the bag and how attractive he is. So if he's attractive and he has money, you're willing to do whatever he wants you to do, no matter. And this is why I say women like to say, oh, I put my kids first. I've heard this growing up, and that's a damn lie. You don't put the children first, because it's not about the children. It's all a selfish act. It's about what you want, regardless to how it's going to affect children or anybody else. Is what you want. You do what you want, and that's it. And I find there are a lot of people who, celebrities who are just that way, but a lot of average, everyday, regular people are this way as well. You know, it's about you. It's about your feelings and what you want and how you want to move, and you don't give a damn about who it affects, and whether you don't care about these children's well-being and how this is gonna look to them. They gotta grow up. See, I think a lot of times they think that these kids are gonna stay babies forever. No, they grow up really quickly. They're not gonna stay babies forever. They're gonna grow up. They're gonna have questions. They're gonna have opinions. They're gonna have, you're gonna have to deal with them asking questions. And a lot of these parents or moms, they're not prepared for that. You see, when these kids start asking, where's my dad? Why my dad why I have all these sisters and brothers, and why are we all in different households? Why did you and my dad ever get married? Why this? Why that? Why is dad not around as much? When these children start asking these questions, they're not prepared for that. These babies don't stay babies long. They got to grow up. And when you're confronted with these questions, a lot of these parents aren't ready for it. Oh, now you're the parent, and you get mad at the children for having concerns or questions or opinions about the situation that they are in. So you can't escape it, but everybody wants to get in. It's selfish. Thank you for the super chat. B-Man TV says, on the other side, what happened to leadership and role models as Black men? We as men need to do better also. Exactly. The thing about it, I like to point out both sides. I try to be fair and point out what men need to do, but at the same time, I got to focus on the women, because I know I'm a woman, so naturally, my mind go to women and their actions and where they lacking and what they need to do better. But at the same time, of course, I said we're all works in progress. Nobody is exempt from doing better. We all can stand to do something better. I'm pretty sure none of us are perfect. So I've always point out, thank you once again for the super chat, B-Man TV. I appreciate you. I think we can always do better. None of us are perfect. We all are works in progress. I say that all the time. To be fair, try to be as fair as possible. But I'm not going to ignore the fact that I think personally, a lot of these women need more help than the men, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think women are so far gone that they have this delusion so built up in their heads that it's not even benefiting them. And then the fact that they try to blame all men, which is going to point me to this next video that I want to play for you guys, and I want to get your thoughts on it. But to the point where they think all men are just like the men that they dealt with, and that is not true. All men are not the same, just like all women are not the same. We are all not the same, but there are several similarities that of the way people move and how they think. There are similarities specifically in how women move, because there's this echo chamber of women, single women, who think that they know what's right, even though they have not benefited from their thoughts and their feelings, but they think it's right. And they're assuming, a lot of them never been in healthy relationships. They've never been married. The majority of Black women have never been married, but they seem to know and have all the answers on what it would take for a marriage to work and what a man should be doing and all this, but no accountability on their part. So this is why I focus mainly on women, because I am a woman and I know what women think, and I know how they feel, because I have feelings too. I'm emotional too. I relate to women. So my channel is going to be focused more on how women need to change. But no doubt in my mind, there are men out here who need to change too. There are a lot of men out here who have been traumatized, who, they are fearful of relationships and getting hurt and things of that nature. So they move accordingly. And that could be what's going on with Cam Newton. He said his fear. He's more fearful about being married for whatever reason. And it could be based on finances and other things as well. He doesn't probably want to be hurt or let down. So a lot of times they act out in the way, in certain ways. And one of those ways could be how he's maneuvering his life. Listen, I'm going to make babies with a bunch of different women, but I'm not going to commit. I'm going to get my children from different women. I'm not committing to any of them. So I don't have to worry about, them taking my money if that's the case. But I mean, they certainly could probably get child support out of him, right? So he would have all of these children all over the place. I'm pretty sure they could want child support from him for those kids. I mean, it's just a lot of things that people do thinking that it's protecting them or shielding them from hurt, which a lot of times it may just be perpetuating the hurt that they have not gotten over from something in the past or previous relationships or whatever. You just never know. John Tell, thank you for the super chat. Kind of deal. Isn't it like 15% of men are creating 80% of the kids? That's on women's picks. Yeah, exactly. John Tell, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, but I'm saying in general, I think we all have things we could work on. Thank you so much for the super chat, John Tell. I appreciate you. I think when I speak of that, I mean in general. Like, listen, I'm married, been married for 20 plus years, long time, but there are still things that I work on as a person. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be cheating or infidelity or major things, but I'm saying in general, when I say we all need to, there's some things I learn every day, new things I learn every day, so I'm just saying, like, things in general that you work on as your individual self that you can improve upon. I don't have a lot of patience, so I need to work on building my patience up, which I have been, and I've gotten better. It's not an overnight thing, but I still got to work on my patience and not being fearful of certain things, or just being, there are things that I constantly work on as an individual just to make myself better, which would in turn make me better for my family. You know what I'm saying? When I say, I'm talking about that. When it comes to men out here just sleeping with anybody, and yes, these women are allowing it, and just making babies with anybody, that's a major problem. And yes, I don't think that that's majority of men, but for the ones who are doing it, yeah, they definitely have to work on that. And the women have to work on themselves as well for allowing these men to do it, because just as much, as these men, those particular men are out here just spreading their seed all over the place and making babies and not really caring or to take care of them or whatever, it's more women who are allowing it, because it is more women who are allowing this small percentage of men to do that. So yeah, they definitely have to work on that. Divine Photos, once again, thank you for the super chat. She said, any man with a kid is a broken man, and it's not ideal to draw to that conclusion, especially if she wouldn't want people to judge her either. She said, any man with a kid is a broken man, and it's not ideal to draw to that conclusion, especially if she wouldn't want people to judge her either. Thank you for the super chat. Is it you talking about the woman in the video? She said, any man with a kid is a broken man, and it's not ideal to draw that to that conclusion, especially if she wouldn't want people to judge her either. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Divine Photos, thank you so much. Yeah, I just think that you have to, you look, you got to be responsible for your actions, men and women. You got to be responsible for your actions. And understand that there are consequences behind it. That's it. Once you can't be oblivious to that and think that you can do whatever it is that you want in a selfish mentality and think that there aren't going to be consequences, because there are going to be consequences, whether you accept it or not. You know what I'm saying? And I think just the idea that men choose to move this way, I think women allow it. First off, I think women allow that behavior because they can't do it if the women don't agree to it. So women allow the behavior, but this is the type of behavior that a lot of women complain about. So if you have a man who has babies by several different women, he's not committed to any one of them. He's just making babies, creating broken homes, and and he had babies all over the place. Most women out here would not want to, well, women claim that they wouldn't want to date somebody like that. I'm not talking about Cam Newton. I'm just talking about an average dude who got, 8 children, 3 baby mamas. That's a red flag to some women, because they don't think that he can be, he can't be committed in one single relationship. he just have children all over the place. A lot of women would consider that reckless and not want to date that man. But if we look at it the opposite way, if women had 8 children, 3 baby daddies, they would want a man to accept them. So I don't know. I just think it's reckless no matter which way you look at it. And I just don't think that money is the determining factor. Money is not, you know what I'm saying? Money shouldn't be an excuse for that type of behavior is what I'm saying. Classic Perspective says, I treat my white tadpoles like it's Fort Knox, heavily guarded. Classic Perspective, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. I was trying to think of your name yesterday. I couldn't think of it for nothing, Classy. I'm sorry. I was referencing you about the man who broke his pelvis because of the lady that we saw yesterday. But baby, listen, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's just, personally, I just think, look, if you want a healthy, stable household and you want to try to possibly raise healthy, stable children, you need to have a stable household. You need to, if you make the children, you need to make the children with a woman who's a stable woman, a woman who wants a family and cares about you and the family. And because she's going to be the one that's going to, you guys work together to raise those kids and try to give them the best that you can. That's all. Because the other ways it's already shown and been proven not to really work. Yes, we have some who have come out of it pretty decent. I'm a product of a single mother household. And yes, I've had issues because of it. But I think that I'm okay. But it took a lot of, really learning certain things. And it was traumatic because you're raised with a certain set of ideas that are not conducive to healthy relationships. So you have to understand that the things that you were taught were not necessarily beneficial for you when it comes to relationships. Yes, if you're dealing with broken men or men who were not productive or deadbeat men, it might work because we were given advice that may have been helpful for men who were trying to take advantage of you, but never really any good advice on how you should interact in a marriage or a healthy relationship because they couldn't give us information that they didn't have and information that they didn't use, but they still passed it down. And that's what I don't understand. Why is it that a lot of women, single mothers, pass information down to their children that they've that wasn't beneficial for them? And it keeps you in this cycle of a delusional mindset, and you try to use that in relationships, and that's why it doesn't work. That's why I'm so adamant about where my stance and where I come from with this, because I've learned so much outside of what I was taught being raised by a single mother. That information was not conducive or healthy for a marriage. So you have to relearn some things and really work on yourself, because if not, I would be no different from a lot of the single hyenas out here saying all men ain't this and all men ain't that. Because I was raised to think that way too. So this is why I fight against that, because I know that that's not healthy for relationships. It doesn't work in relationships. It works if you're dealing with a man who's just trying to hit it and quit it. If you think that all men are horrible and you keep running into those types of guys, then some of that information might be beneficial to you dealing with what they would call deadbeats. But for dealing with good men who were raised by are raised in a 2-parent household or raised differently with a different set of values, that information is never going to work. Calvin Bruton, thank you so much for the super chat, says men must learn to say no to these women when they want to have relations with you unmarried. Like Paul said, it's better to be married than burn with passion. Celibacy is the way. Thank you for the super chat, Calvin. I appreciate you. Kuroyasha, I hope I'm saying that right, says there are Black men who provide ample leadership and guidance. Whether Black women choose to follow competent leadership is of their own volition. Exactly. I 100% agree with you. Right. Yeah. And, once again, a lot of these women don't want to follow a man, just to put it bluntly. They don't want to follow a man. They want to be the leader. They want men to follow them. And I think that's how they mess up. You want a man to follow your lead and follow what it is that you want to do. They don't want to follow men. And I think that's part of the problem. They don't want guidance that looks like control to them. So if a man is leading and guiding you, and he's competent and he's able to do it, they still don't trust it because they were raised and taught that not to trust a man. You need to get your own. You can't trust what he's doing because he's going to lead you astray. But in reality, they're leading themselves astray. A lot of these women are leading and they're leading themselves right into the dump. But see, it's okay if they do it because they're doing it. But if a man was to do it, it's a problem. You don't trust men, even if they've shown to be competent and great leaders, you still don't trust them because you were told not to. Thank you once again for the super chat. I appreciate you. Queen of Vibes. What's going on, Queen of Vibes? Divine Photo says, let me correct myself. Dr. Bryant categorized any man with a child as a broken man. And in my opinion, it's wild for her to say that. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't think that any man with a child is a broken man. I didn't catch that part. No, I don't agree with that. I don't think any man with a child is a broken man. I just think that the idea of men not committing to one woman and making babies with a whole bunch of women is reckless. It's reckless. And I don't care if you have money or not. I just think it's reckless in general. And, I think it's reckless for men to sign up for that. You know what I'm saying? And he says he wants more kids, but I think any man with a child, I wouldn't consider a broken man. But just creating broken homes is my issue. Well, it was the thing that I was focused on. Now, I don't think any man with a child is considered broken. No. Thank you once again for the super chat, Divine Photos. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. So, yeah, I just think that that's a problem, too. And I think it's easier for men to do it because women allow it. This is where women don't want to take any accountability. Oh, he's just a deadbeat and he's just making babies but he making babies with y'all. Y'all opening y'all legs and allowing him to make the babies. You're not requiring anything. You're not requiring marriage. You're not requiring that he be in a committed relationship with you. You just okay because he's attractive or he has money and you're okay with this. So this is why I say men who think that way and who are doing these things are being allowed by the women to do it. So as long as women allow it, those men are going to continue to do it. Whether you're Pookie and Ray Ray or whether you Cam Newton or Nick Cannon, it doesn't matter. They're going to still allow it. And it's still a reflection of the men we talk about, the small percentage of Pookies and Ray Rays who are able to do this, because it's a small percentage of the men who are going around getting all the women pregnant. And all these women are allowing them to for either because they're attracted to him or if it's a Pookie and Ray Ray with the money. Because that's what I would consider, what I'm saying. No diss to Cam or Nick, but they have money, but they're doing this same thing that the Pookies and Ray Rays would do. You're finding women who are okay with you doing this and they letting you knock them up. And you're thinking that it's okay because you can financially take care of them, but it's really not. And it's their choices to make, but it's no different. It's no different from the Pookies and Ray Rays we talk about. Successful MD says they will follow men's checking accounts, Cash App, Venmo, and others. Remember to hit the like button. It's free to do so. DeeDee is a good sister. Thank you so much, Successful MD. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, sir. It's not good no matter how you try to slice it, whether you got money or you don't. It's just not healthy for the children. And if we're thinking about the children and their benefit and their health, and their well-being, then yes, you would move a different way. So I don't care who it is. I don't care who you are, rich, broke. It doesn't matter. The money is not the focus for me. I think the money is a focus. If these women can find a man with money, they'll do anything. Or if he's attractive, they'll do anything. It's the same equivalent, and we got to stop thinking that money is the end all be all. See, money, once again, I'll say this and then we're going to move on. Money is the main thing that matters because most people don't have it. The majority, especially now with inflation and all of the stuff that's going on, most people are struggling. Most people don't have a whole lot of money. So money is going to be at the top of the list. This is why a lot of these women put themselves in these predicaments, because they are looking at the money. They're looking at the opportunity. If I just go with this man who has money and I just give him a baby and do what he wants, I'm going to live the good life. I'm going to live in a mansion. I'm going to live in a, my child going to be raised in a mansion and have nice things. But so they don't care about the things that should really matter is the well-being of the child. Financially, he may be okay, or once they start to grow up and realize the situation that they're in, it's going to have detrimental effects on the child. And once again, I will say, because people will say, well, I was raised by a single mother and I'm fine. Me too. But it didn't come without any issues. You know what I'm saying? Being raised without a father does make you a certain way. Because as a child who didn't have a father around, your father there, knowing your father and seeing him here and there, it does something to you. It doesn't give me ease and a sense of comfort or a level of comfort knowing that I have a father, but he's not around. Like, those are things that you long for as a young child. You want your mother and you want your father. It's an innate thing. But when they're not there, it does create a brokenness within the child and the household. It does. I don't care what nobody say, because as a child who lived it and I knew how I felt growing up, there are many others who feel the same way. And there's a video of these young men talking about not having fathers in their lives and how they want their fathers, and it's a longing that you have. So it's a reason why it's important when you make a child, you make it with people who are together and who are raising that child together for the benefit of the child. That's that. I don't care who you are, how much money you got. The money doesn't matter if you're not present in that child's life. That's just what it is. And when you make a whole bunch of children from house to house to house to house, it's going to be very difficult to be able to be there for all those kids in all those different households. It's going to be very difficult for you to spread yourself thin to be able to really show up present in those children's lives with all of those children all over the place. That's just what it is. So that's why it's considered a broken home. So that's my thoughts on that. But that leads me to this next clip. And I definitely want you guys to chime in on this. So make sure you chime in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button. Hit the like button, y'all. Here we go.
See, this is my problem with the book folk. They can't get out the book. The whole conversation is what's in the book.
Yeah, I wrote it. I wrote the book.
And see, the book, it ain't factual.
Well, what's in the book? Truth. Wait a minute. What's in the book?
No. Listen, I'm just saying any book. See, this is why I stay away from the book. Right? Because the book is one person's mind. That's one person's mind, and there are a billion minds on this planet.
Okay, all right. Let me do you a solid.
There are a billion minds on this planet. Talk to me outside the book. Talk to me about a woman who's been married 30, 40 years, and let her tell me about her man, because she can't tell me about our man. Let me tell me about the men that you chose, the men that you had. Don't tell me about the men you didn't have, because you don't know those men. Right? Because if all men were the same, all men would be doing the same.
Okay.
It's some punks.
All
They
right.
want some.
Okay, so
There's a lot of ain't taking no.
all right.
It's some beat women. It's some won't dare touch a woman. It's some say, and it's some say, hey, homie, don't say there's women in the room. So we're all different. Yeah, we have the same chromosomes, makeup, all that, homie. But our environments, how we raise, supersede all that.
Now, let me pause it there, because he's speaking nothing but facts. And anybody who try to contradict that, you just don't want to hear the truth. He's speaking facts. That is basically what I'm saying. I just said just like every woman is not the same, every man is not the same. Your upbringing, your experiences kind of help to shape who you turn out to be. That's what that's saying. So for women who like to put all men in one category, this is why I don't agree with it, because like he said, you have not been with all men. You have not experienced all men. it would make more sense to talk about the men that you've dated, talk about the men that you've had these experiences with, specify that the men that you chose to be in a relationship with did X, Y, and Z, but don't cram every man into your personal specific situations, because that is not the nature of all men. This is why I have an issue when women say all men, because if my experience hasn't been that men just do you dirty and all men are just horrible, I haven't dated all men, but I know the man that I have is not like that, or the men that I've come across are not like that. So that may not be my experience, but that's my experience. I can tell you my experience and let you know that, hey, there's a different side, because this is not all men. But too often, these women are putting all black men, let's be specific, in this category. The category, all black men are trash. All black men will leave you. All black men will cheat on you. All black men will do this and do that. And that is not the case, because everybody was not raised the same. There are men, like he said, who disrespect women. There are men who don't do that, who don't disrespect women. There are men who don't call women out their name, bees and hoes and all this. There are men who wouldn't do it. And he's absolutely right. But if you have only experienced those particular type of men, then that's your experience. That is not the indicative of all men, because all men don't talk like that. All men don't do that. There are men who are very respectful to women, do not cuss women. Some men don't cuss at all. So this is why I thought this clip was important, because I just think that we got to stop putting all men into this one category and just making it seem like this is what they all do when they all don't. Every man is not a player running around. We know that, because the majority of men are not out here creating all these broken homes and these babies by these different women. That's not the majority of men. So we got to start specifying, talk about your experiences with the men you've had and who you pick, not every man. Every pregnancy there is a risk of child. I don't know what you're trying to, what is this? Every pregnancy there is a risk of Q3 at plus H. The woman takes all the risk and is left with the responsibility. This is why I focus on the women. Thank you once again for the super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a fact, but a lot of these women don't see it like that. They don't see it. They just, because they're not thinking. You're doing you're acting on feelings and emotions and doing what you want and not thinking about the bigger picture. You go out and because he's fine and he's cute, get a baby by him, and then now you're stuck with all the responsibility, not realizing that this is going to take a toll on you. Because, you was out there trying to get to the D. You wasn't thinking about the consequences of the D until you're faced with it. Now you're crying on social media talking about how hard it is. So, yeah, I wish people would think before they act. Think about what this might look like. And think about you possibly having to raise this kid by yourself and struggling and you don't have a lot of money. Think about that before you go and get to, maybe it'll change your mind. Maybe you'll change your mind and do something else. Let's continue.
Because once you develop a conscience, once you learn right from wrong and you got a conscience, homie, I wouldn't give a what turn you on, you wouldn't do it. If I wouldn't give a how horny you is, you ain't gonna cheat on your wife. When you develop that, you fight against your nature. You deny yourself. That's where fasting and praying come in at. You develop coping skills. You develop critical thinking skills, conflict skills to supersede your nature. That's where the morality comes in at.
All right, and that's it. So all right, hold on, let me say this.
Listen, I agree with what he's saying straight up. I don't care what nobody say, because that's a fact. He's speaking on that. I wanted to play that little clip part because I thought he made a lot of good sense, a lot of good logical sense. And I think people don't like to, especially women don't like to hear that, because it doesn't fit their narrative. It doesn't fit your narrative of all black men are just the same and they all do this and they all gonna cheat on you. They all gonna do this. That's something I was told too. And so your single mothers tell you this kind of stuff because they've attracted was those type of guys, because they were right in line with the type of guys that they were attracted to, that they attracted. They weren't doing much. You were out here trying to have a good time, just like those men were. So you met men who were on your level. But then when you got the responsibility of the kids and you didn't prioritize a man, you were just out here screwing and you got babies. Now you talking about, oh, I'm a single mother and it's hard and I do it all by myself. You chose to do it by your damn self. You chose that lifestyle. You didn't require marriage. You were not out here looking for a husband. You were out here trying to screw. It ain't just the men. These women were just as horny and just as hot and was out here trying to get to the D just like the men were trying to get to them. So that's why y'all did it. And that's why y'all worked that out, because that's y'all both was looking for the same thing. But then these women want to get this moral high ground at some point and start trying to make it seem like these men are all just so horrible at the bottom of the barrel. You was right there at the bottom with him, looking for exactly what he was looking for. Now you all of a sudden better now and you want to grandstand on the fact that you chose to be a single mother. And now you want to talk about the men are just horrible when you was right there being horrible with them. Come on now. We got to stop that. Y'all was right there with them screwing and having that good old time and you just happen to be the one that could get pregnant and have a baby. This is why I say the majority of the responsibility is on the women, because you make the choice, your body, your choice. You make the choice to decide whether you're going to have sex with somebody unprotected and possibly get an STD or a baby out of it. That's your responsibility, your body. He chooses who he want to be with, but if you reject him, then he go on to the next and you won't become the statistic. But too many of these women are falling for the okie doke because they want it. You ain't really falling for the okie doke. You're right there willingly ready to give it to him. But all of a sudden now when you had a babies and you keep making that same choice over and over and over, somehow these men need to stop. No, you need to stop too. They can ask you for it, but you ain't got to say yes. Come on now. Who's really in control? A man could be reckless with his body all he want, but he could be reckless in what way? If the women aren't reckless with him, what he gonna have to go play with himself or go do something? He's not going to be able to do anything if you don't let him. So who's ultimately in control here? He can decide he like how you look. He going to approach you, right? He want to lay up with you. Come on. You know, he can have all the swag in the world. He could proposition you, but it's up to you to accept it. So it's too many women who claim to be so educated and smart who's accepting it. Even if he's coming to you and he's not real about his intentions, won't you use your education to think logically and determine whether this man is mean you any good or not? Why don't you not rush into just opening your legs so willy-nilly and decide to get to know the man to see what he's really about? Because just like women expose themselves, men can expose themselves too. If he's only trying to get to you for sex, it'll eventually show, because if he's not showing his true intentions about what he really wants, and he just really out here trying to like manipulate you, you know, like this woman said, her man is a master manipulator. Well, if you can say out your mouth that he's a master manipulator, then why the hell are you with him then? If it's a problem, why would you subject yourself to being in a relationship with a man who's a master manipulator? That means you're okay with that. Because you're still there with him. Come on now, like use logical sense. So if you don't jump into anything sexually with a man and take your time to get to know him, then you're going to see what he's about. If he's just trying to hit it and quit it, then he's not going to stick around. He's going to stop talking to you because you're saying you want something more. If you're specifying to him you want something more, and he doesn't want that, eventually he's gonna fade off the scene. He ain't gonna have time to fool with you because he knows you want more than that. So he's gonna either let you know or he's gonna fade off the scene when he sees that you're not giving into what he's trying to get. And you require marriage, because if he don't want marriage and he trying to marry, he ain't gonna do it. So that's gonna be your sign right there. And if you should have a time frame, listen, I'm not gonna deal with your foolishness. I want to be married. If you want to be committed, be honest with me, or this is what I want. If you don't want to do that, guess what? And you steadfast on what it is that you want, and you don't give into the temptation, girl, he gonna move on. The same thing with women. If they can't get a bag out of you, if they can't get you to pay their bills, if you're not gonna pay for them to eat and provide them with meals and pay for their kids, you're not gonna do that. She gonna be like, oh hell no. She gonna move on with the quickness because she don't have time for you because you're not giving her what she wants. So she gonna move on to the next person, suspecting dude who she think might give her what she wants. She's not gonna waste her time on you because she need money and she need it fast. Bottom line. Successful MD says they like being poked by Pookie's message. They do. But they don't want to accept that that's what it is because it doesn't look good. They know it doesn't look good. Thank you, Successful MD, for the super chat. I appreciate you. So yeah, I mean, if you're not paying her bills and feeding her kids and doing all this stuff for her, she ain't got time for you. She gonna X you right off that list and go to the next one. They show you who you are, but it's up to you to accept it and accept it for what it is and keep it moving. That's what the red flags are. Red flags be screaming right in front of you. Red flag, biggest cuff. And you want to look over it because you don't want to accept that is a red flag. Because either you like the person or whatever, and you don't want to think that they're like that, but that's on you then. And you get what you get. So I think Charleston White was spot on with that. I think women need to stop putting this all on all men and just say the men that you've dealt with, the men that you've been in relationships with. That's not all men. It's not. So when you see other women in relationships with men who are faithful and not, just some men are just not cheaters. Some men are just not out here trying to put their thing in everything that they can. That's not every man. So you can't put that on every man. Every man is not like that. So, all right, we're going to move right along, you guys. I want to show this other little clip, child, which is going to blow y'all mind. This was a little shocking to me, but I want to get y'all thoughts on this. Because we talk about older women. Of course, this is not a common thing. Let me make that clear. I know that this is not a lot. This is not happening with a lot of people. This is a very small percentage, but I want to see what y'all think of this. So I'm going to play this little clip for you guys. I changed the audio once again for copyright purposes, but look at this. So let me pause it there. So the caption says, love has no age limits. Met when I was 23. So the man was 23 and she was 56. Right? What is that? A 33-year difference? So he met this lady who was 56 when he was only 23, right? Let's continue. We're going to just read the caption. Got engaged 3 years later, right? Married a year later, right? So they got engaged 3 years later. So she was 56 when he met her, 56. So she was 59 when he married her. Well, when they got engaged. And so she had a year later, she was 60 years old when he married her, right? 60 years old when he married her. Let's continue. Had a miracle baby. What in the world? So this lady had to be 60, damn near 61 when she had a baby. Look at this. Happier than ever. Now, listen, this was shocking. And I know this is definitely not a common occurrence, but damn, near 60 something years old, she had a baby, gave him a baby. He married her. He said he's never been happier. What do you guys think of that? This lady could be his grandmother. But what do you think about him? Now, listen, he could have very well been a guy who was trying to date younger and just couldn't find a woman who was cooperative. He couldn't find a woman who really cared about him. And he found it in this older woman. He's happy, he found something that, that made him fall in love with her. He didn't care about her age. She even gave him a baby. Now, how? Oh my God. That is crazy. So he got a child with this older woman who looks like probably the love of his life. Is this something that men would be willing to do? Is my question. Would you be willing? This goes back, and y'all let me know. Because listen, I can't say I'm not a man. That is not my thing. Men have to decide who they want to be with. And I'm out the game. I can't speak for men. So I want you guys to tell me if this is something that you would consider. If she was a good woman, then he got a baby out of it too. And the fact that she was older did not deter him. I want to know your thoughts on this. So Classy Perspective says, ladies, don't make this a trend, having babies at 56, shaking my head. This is extremely dangerous. Thank you for the super chat, Classy Perspective. It is dangerous. It is dangerous. So it's not preferred to because this is very dangerous. It's not something preferred by medical professionals, which Classy Perspective is. So I wouldn't recommend it, but in this case, he was lucky. If you had an opportunity to meet a woman who is really a good woman and want to be with you, does the age have any bearing? If she's not this modern woman hyena, she's a very traditional woman and she loves you and want to be with you, does the age matter? Would you consider a woman who's older, who is a good woman? That's what I want to know. Riley says Janet Jackson had a miracle baby at 50 years. She did. Alex says nope. I guess as long as they are happy. Frank G. Life says as long as they are happy. Ryan Wetlow says no. Kuro Yasha says hell to the no. Hannibal says F out of here with that. Roddy says if she was 45 and I was in my 30s, yeah, I would go for it. All right. Milton Elliott says heck no. Trey 979 says safe to say that baby has health issues. Not necessarily. Just because she had the baby older doesn't mean the baby would have health issues. If she had the baby and delivered the baby full term, and the baby doesn't have to have health issues just because she was older. If she was able to carry the baby to term, and the baby older women you can definitely have a healthy child. Just because you're older doesn't mean the child is going to have health issues. Just wanted to point that out. Maybe he wanted something grounded. T Sweet says after a certain age, babies should be off limits unless you were told you could never have children, and God bless you. She says that's her opinion. Queen of Vibe says Class Perspective, trust me, it's not happening. If I don't already have them by my late 20s, then it wasn't my intention to have them anyways. Cleveland Williams says no, thank you. Not for me, but gentlemen, I respect your decisions. Success women, not for me, to each their own. Frank G says not for me. Lorenzo Redmond says I once dated a 60-year-old, but it didn't work out. Roddy says she carried full term. Divine Photos at Class Perspectives and Trade. Says I'm not going to front. If Dr. Bryant watched Kendra G and seen the Boquishas 5 for 5, whatever on that show, she would call Cam a saint. Divine Photo says not for me. So most of you guys say it's not for you. So listen, I respect your opinion. I respect your choices. Desperate Vibes, last writer, says yes, age matters. Listen, age definitely matters. I will say that, because you can't just say you in love with a woman that's underage. I mean, when it comes, so age matters. I mean, if a woman, a young girl is young, underage, you can't just, so age matters. But I mean, if we're just talking about adults, not underage, but just grown adults, I mean, listen, I'll say this: age matters depending on you, the persons. It's up to you. Once you're an adult, you can choose whatever it is you want to choose. It's not going to fit everybody's narrative, but if it works for you, it works for you. All relationships aren't the same. So, I will say in this case, look, he married the lady. She gave him a baby. you know, they're gonna live their life together as long as they can and raise that child. If you know, and if they're happy, I'm happy for them. You know, so it's all about what works for you and your situation. It doesn't have to look like everybody else's. Every relationship is not the same. So whatever works for you, if you're happy in it, I'm happy for you. That's how I look at it. I'm not going to tell people specifically, you know, who to choose and who not to choose, but because if it works for you, it worked for you. That's just what it is. We can't, you know, every situation is not going to look the same. Everybody's relationship is not going to work the way you would prefer yours to work. Everybody has a right to choose what they want and be happy. And if he's happy with this woman, I'm happy for them. That's how I see it. I don't see anything wrong with it if it works for them. Shout out to Paul Harrison coming through with the generous super chat. Thank you once again. Says, hey, DeeDee, I can see myself loving an older woman, but a baby is definitely out of the question. The body doesn't heal like it did when you were in your prime. That's true. Wow, that's true. Thank you so much for the super chat, Paul. I appreciate you. That is true. Listen, I just think also I will add to that because I have a 7-year-old. I'm in my late 40s. So I was 40 something when I had my last son, right? And I have a lot of children. So that is true. The body does, you know, I will say, thank you once again, Paul, for the super chat. I will say when you are in your 20s, it's a lot easier. You kind of like snap back quicker in your 20s for sure. But as you get older, yes, it definitely has an impact. But it also has a lot to do with how you take care of yourself too. I say this because I think there are some men who just think that women in their 40s or 50s can't have children, and that's just not true. And there are a lot of women who have children because like I said, my last child is 7. And I'm still honestly, and I'm not saying this to sound cocky or anything like that, because baby, I don't want no more children, but I can still have children. And I'm in my late 40s. So would I recommend it? No. I'm not 100% completely opposed to it either. But my last child, that child, I didn't have any complications, but there was a scare. So as you get older, yes, it becomes a little bit more complex. You have to be healthier. You have to make sure your health is top notch. You can't just sit back and eat whatever you want and just gain all that weight. When I was in my 20s and having babies, no problem. No, I had no issues with none of my pregnancies, but there was a scare with my son. My heart rate dropped and everybody with the rushing, and I was fading on out. You get what I'm saying? It could have been bad. It wasn't, thank God, but they got everything together. I had never had that experience with any of my pregnancies. So yes, the older you get, you have to be more cautious of your health. You just can't sit down and eat. You gotta stay fit, work out. There's things that you have to do, but it's not impossible. It's more scarier. Yes, classy. Yeah. That yeah. But you know, so that was scary. And so the older you get, that kind of stuff could happen, because in my 20s, it didn't happen. And I had no issues whatsoever. Even the 30s, no issues at all. Boom, had a baby, pop them out, no problem. So the older you get, that's why they call, I think after 35, they consider it high risk pregnancy. So 35 and up, you consider high risk because it becomes more riskier, but it's not impossible. You can have healthy babies at the older you get, but you have to take more precautions. You have to be more careful. You have to take care of yourself because you are at a more risk of, higher risk of things going wrong the older you get. So the prime years for making babies is in your 20s. That is when you're supposed to be making your babies, because like I said, in my 20s, no problems, had the babies, no issues, body snap back, no issues. The older you get, yes, it starts to change. When you start getting to a point where now menopause could be, you're up, start dealing with menopausal issues and all of this stuff, your body started to change. Yeah, having babies you're supposed to be done with that. So yes, it could definitely cause more issues the older you get, but it's not impossible. And you can certainly have healthy babies at an older age. But to trying to go and pop out 2 and 3 of them at 40 and 50 years old, no. This is why women who have a child at that age, they usually have one. It's because that's really, really, and that was a struggle. So that's really all you're going to get, because it's too risky and too dangerous for you to be making several babies. So this is why in your 20s, those are the optimal years for you to make your family. So however many children you want, get them, knock them out, back to back to back. That's what I would, when you're married, knock them out. That's what I would recommend. In your 20s, you get married. How many you want? You want 3, you want 4? Have them back to back to back. That's what I would suggest. And get them out the way. That way they all grow up together. And then, you know, by the time you in your 40s, 50s, your kids are damn near grown and you can still do things in your life. See, I think a lot of people go about it the wrong way. Thank you once again, Paul, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I think a lot of people go about it the wrong way and they look at it in the wrong way. But, you know, when they talk about men wanting women younger and families, because that's the time that's best for women to carry those babies. So, yeah, geriatric pregnancies, yes. You're not the prototypical woman who is trying for her very first baby in her 40s as well. Yeah, that's true. Due to having children younger, it is easily versus having first child at 40. Yep, that's true. Yeah, yep. But women want to get mad at older men when they want a young girl who can have kids and don't know if that older man have any kids. Right? I see what you're saying. Teenage mothers are done raising children in their 30s. Yeah, absolutely. I gave myself 2 years, but how in this world is going, maybe not. Think about what these older women be saying, and that older Black guy could not get that opportunity because she won't. Brad did them wrong, so she wants to look down on all men. Yeah, I just think, yeah, it's very risky. It's risky. 35 and up is considered high risk pregnancy, so I wouldn't recommend it. No, if you want a family, you got to start young. You got at least in your 20s. In your 20s, pop them out. You want 2, 3, or whatever, have them young. That's the whole point. So I always encourage marriage younger. Have your kids younger. By the time you're in your 40s, child, your kids are out the way. You can still do things. You can consider your career and things of that nature. This is why I say you can have what you want, just not all at the same time. You know, when you're young, these women talk about having their fun and when they're young and running around. You don't talk about marriage. You think marriage is you're supposed to marry a man when you're older and, you know, and you've already had kids with several dudes and all of this kind of stuff. No, the best thing to do, get married young, have your kids young. You have the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? You know, I just think about, I couldn't sit here and do a podcast or do a YouTube channel when all my kids were young. I didn't have time. I didn't have the time. My kids are older. I still have 2 younger ones, but the majority of them are older. So I have time to do things that I want to do versus when they were all younger. It would have been impossible unless it was a family vlog. It would have been impossible with all my babies little at the same time trying to maneuver. I wouldn't have time to do it. You see what I'm saying? So this is why I don't understand when people talk about, oh, well, I want to do what I want to do. And I don't want kids, which if that's your preference, that's your preference. I'm not mad at if that's what you want, that's your life. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You got to live it, not me. I got to live my life. You got to live yours. So that's what you want, that's fine. But what I'm saying is people have this misconception about children and raising them and how you go about it. They think that their life is just done and that you'll never have opportunities to do things that you want to do. When these kids don't stay little, they got to grow up. They grow up and then they end up having their own lives, and you can still have your life. It's not a doom and gloom done deal when you have children young. And I think that's what people think because they've only had certain examples of motherhood of motherhood. And the examples that they've seen were single mothers struggling with the kids. See, they didn't see examples of couples, married couples raising those kids together and how that looked. They only have the negative perspective of motherhood and not the positive examples of a two parents raising the kids where you do have help. You see what I'm saying? And that leads me to this video. I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Please hit the like button, you guys. Check this out.
A lady on Twitter, she's talking about it's weird to brag about not having kids.
This makes me think of when somebody told me, hurry up and have kids so you could be miserable like me. And that stayed with me. I'm not saying that parenthood is miserable for everyone, but I have come across my fair share of regretful moms. They seem tired, they are haggard, they do not get any help from the men that they are with. They mourn the life that they had before. I love having money, getting up and doing whatever the fuck I want to do, and having serenity in my home. I understand that motherhood is a sacred journey, but motherhood is not for everyone, and people really struggle with minding their business about what you do with your body. Is that a little envy that I detect?
And see, and that's what I'm saying. She said it herself. She's come across women who are having a hard time. And I'm pretty sure a lot of those, she said they didn't have the fathers helping out and probably not in the child's life and not in the same household. So like I said, a lot of women have negative examples, and hell, I've seen nothing but negative examples of it too. So I get where it's coming from, but you never really see the mom and the dad with the kids. I don't know how many times I could tell you, me and my husband have been places and people are like, those are your kids? And you guys are together and she looks like she's sane. They always say that. Oh, she doesn't look frazzled. She doesn't look worn out. Because why does it have to be that? And I'm not raising children is a lot of work, but it doesn't have to like take you over. Like you have to have, it's about how you do it. It's not all negative. It's not all bad. People just have heard people complain about being a parent, and then you're coming from a place of listening to single women telling you this. Yeah, they're so tired. And then the thing about it, a lot of these women, they didn't want to be mothers. They didn't want to be mothers. They were just out having a good time and happened to get pregnant. It's not like they planned for a baby. It's not like they have their husband and they plan like most couples do, plan for a child. They didn't plan for the baby. They just got pregnant. And they mad and bitter because they doing it by themselves, but you didn't plan for this. You just went out and got the D and then, oh, God damn it, I'm pregnant. As if you didn't know that caused pregnancy. You didn't protect yourself. You just was so into sleeping with a pookie and you got pregnant and you do it again. And now you're struggling and you're complaining and you're telling other people how hard it is. And I'm so goddamn tired of these kids. And I don't know what to do. And this, I don't have any help and I'm trying to do it all. Of course, that's going to be difficult. Of course, that's going to be hard because you're doing it by yourself. You got to bring all the finances. You got to bring all the everything. You got to do it all by yourself because you chose wrong. But you hate to admit the part that you chose wrong. And then when you happen to stumble upon a couple who's, raising their kids together and they're happy and they smiling and they're doing the things that they need to do for their family and they doing it together. And then you sit somewhere in a corner bitter and angry because you're still, I wish I had that. I wish I had help. I wish I had a man. I wish I had this and all of that. Well, you didn't, you chose that. Somebody told you going out and having your fun in your 20s is where it's at. And don't worry about a man and you can do it all by yourself. They told you that. And now you drank that and swallowed it whole. And you believe that's what you're supposed to be doing. Now the consequences have set in. Now you're complaining and now you're influencing other women to not have children because they think it's just the hardest thing ever. They think it's just the worst thing they could ever do. And I mean, listen, for women who wanted a family and women who have husbands who wanted children, they're not sitting around jealous of somebody without any kids. I'm looking at you like, ma'am, don't you know that seems like a lonely life? And I'm not saying because there might be some people out here who don't want kids or don't have kids and they living their best life, shout out to you, baby. Because if that's what you want and you got what you want and you happy, I'm happy for you. I wouldn't, women who wanted children and want families aren't sitting back jealous of somebody who chose not to. No, because what you got to understand is when you have a family, it's something you wanted, you prioritized it, you planned for it. So you have a plan for how you want your household to run, how you want your livelihood to be. Children is not the end all be all to fun and doing things. When you have kids, yes, your kids are your number one priority. Your kids are your priority because those little kids, they can't fend for themselves. So you have to be there for them. But at the same time, your life is not doom and gloom. I don't know why these women, that's what, like, some women talk about marriage. They're afraid of marriage because they think marriage means, oh, you can't have fun now. Now you just got to go in the house like an old maid and you just got to sit on the stoop and just sit down and you can't do anything and you can't have fun. You can't be yourself. You got to be a mother and a wife, meaning, oh, you got to be some type of, I don't know some old lady sitting down just miserable. No, who told y'all that? Who told women that that's what being a wife and being a mother is? Who said it's not fun? Why y'all can't, y'all chose to do it the wrong way, become single mothers, and now all the burdens and stresses are on you, not understanding that if you chose it the right way, it's not a burden or a stress. Yes, it gets difficult sometimes, and it's hard sometimes. And as humans, yes, we react to that, but it's not doom and gloom. It's not your life is over. So I really like to tell women, listen, just because you get married and have children, that doesn't mean your life is over. Why do y'all think like that? No, marriage is not a doom and gloom. Having children is not a doom and gloom. You know how much fun you have with your children and your husband? Like think how funny they are. You watch your kids grow. They become extensions of you. It's not, and you can go out and do things. Who said you couldn't have fun? See, they prioritize fun earlier, not thinking about their future. And then when you get older, now you already created children and now you struggle with that by yourself. And now you want a man to come in and make your life happy and fun. You could have been happy and having fun the whole time. So listen, I just see it differently. I don't get it. Thank you so much, Eddie Taylor, for becoming a member. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel. I appreciate you. Taxmasters DFW says kids want to have a father or a man in their home and active in their lives. I've dated single moms. Their kids would ask if they could call me dad. My girlfriend's daughter calls me dad now. Wow. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Right. But that just goes to show you the children really want stability. They really want a father. They want a father or a father figure. They want somebody there. They don't just, they seem to understand more of the importance of it than the actual moms do. Thank you once again for the super chat, Taxmaster DFW. I appreciate you. That's crazy, but I get it. So, the children get it more than the women get it. They understand the importance of having that man in their lives more than the women do. So, it's just, I try to show women in particular a different side. Listen, it's not all doom and gloom. Stop listening to these single women who are struggling, have struggled their whole lives, never had somebody in their lives who actually cared for them and loved them and been there for them. They don't know what that looked like, and so they just project their experiences onto other people and have these women thinking like, oh my God, I don't ever want to have any children. I don't ever want to get married because it's just the most horrible thing. And all these people just divorcing. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are divorcing, but that don't have to be you. That don't have to be you. And you shouldn't be focused on the negative aspects of relationships and dating and marriage. You focus on what you have and you build on what you have, and you have a choice to pour into what you have and build up on that, as opposed to letting other people's negative experiences influence how you move in your relationship, because it can happen. You know, other women can influence you and try to tell you that something is wrong with your relationship when there's nothing wrong. The reason why people say women keep women single, because women can influence other women to either mess up their own relationships because they mad because they don't have it. Influence women to leave their husbands and try to tell them what he should be doing based on these modern standards, and have you thinking that your husband ain't nothing because he don't do this or he don't do what Jay seen on Love and Hip Hop. So they're trying to tell you he should be doing this, he should be doing that, and cause you to leave your good situation to be single and miserable with them. And I have no doubt that some woman told her that because, yeah, they want you to think that is all bad to keep you in that mentality so you won't look for something better. Or look at men in a different way, or look at a good man and say, you know, I got a good man. Let me be with this man and do good with him, and let's build. They hate to see it because misery loves company. You're miserable, you're bitter, you couldn't seem to make a relationship work or be a good woman to a good man. So you want everybody just to be single like you. This is why these women be championing these women when they decide to leave a relationship. They're like, oh yes, she's joined the misery club. She joined the single bitter women's club. Yes, let's invite her in with gladness. And then when they see you go back, oh my God, they pissed and screaming online like, God damn it, she went back. They hate for you to try to make it work because they want a whole community of bitter single women just championing that single mother lifestyle of struggle, because you're complaining that it's a struggle. So why would you want everybody to struggle? So you want everybody to struggle together? Come on now. It's a mess. Let's move on. I want to know what you guys think about this. Check this out.
Gentlemen, go ahead and tune in and listen to this.
A lot of dudes will literally push their woman away, like intentionally, because I don't want to file for divorce. I'm going to start slacking. I'm going to start having an I don't give a damn mentality, come in when I want, stay out as late as I want, knowing that that's going to make you mad, knowing that that's going to make you feel like you're not as valued no more, so hoping that you'll go ahead and end it so I can say that it wasn't me.
I don't know any dudes like that.
I know plenty of dudes.
I don't know any dudes.
I've done it. I went and did my own thing. I didn't give a fuck until she said, let's get a divorce. And I said, okay.
You was ready for her to say that?
I was ready for it. And I know plenty of other guy friends besides y'all that are married that I've talked to to say, I'm just waiting for the time when she says, hey, I'm leaving you.
So I'm glad that my man's on the end kept it 100, because the first guy was like, I don't know nobody. And that's a lot of y'all men out here. Since you don't know nobody that does it, that means that don't nobody do it. But when my man said, I did it, oh boy, shut the fuck up. The fact that grown-ass men will intentionally make their relationship shitty, will beat down a woman, hurt her emotionally, mentally, and spiritually so she can leave because he don't want to take the time or have the effort to file for the divorce. He will make the relationship a toxic relationship intentionally. He is cheating on you, baby girl, intentionally because he don't want to be with you. He gonna say, I'm sorry, and then do it again, right? The craziest thing about this is that men will blame women for initiating the divorce when you forced it upon us and really wanted it.
Now, do y'all agree with that or disagree? Do you think that most men, and that clip came from Crew Season, shout out to them. And I like their content and I usually agree with them, but I don't necessarily agree with them on this one. Now, mind you, there might be some men who do that, but I don't think that's the overwhelming number of men who waste time like that. I want to know y'all thoughts on that. I personally don't think that that's a lot of men. There might be somebody somewhere who's doing that, but how many men do you think are sitting back saying, I'm going to purposely destroy this relationship so she can go and file, just purposely, sitting there saying, oh, I'm going to do everything that she don't want me to do because I'm out. And it's just for no reason if they are doing it. Like, what do you think that there's more to it than just that maybe she's done some things that's contributed to it and to the point where he just don't give a shit, maybe that. And he's still not trying to leave, but maybe giving her an opportunity to to get her ish together because he really don't want to leave. Because if you really want to leave and you really don't want to be there, you just leave. I think women are the ones who procrastinate and emotionally leave the relationships, but don't leave physically. And they don't tell the guy that they want to leave. They just plan something else. You go and find another man that you can dip it and do it with and sneak and geek until, you know, he says, okay, yeah, we can be together, and you go with him, preparing something for when you want to leave, but you don't really leave. You know what I mean? You have something in place, try to have something in place, and sit there and pretend like you all good. Women play games like that. I don't know too many men who move in that way. But maybe there's some, but I don't think it's a lot. It's not a whole bunch of men who sit here and say, you know what, I'm going to do some shit to piss her off so she can leave. What if she don't leave? Are you just going to still sit there and deal? Cause there must be a reason why you want to leave. You must not be happy in a relationship, right? So there is a reason why you want to leave. So you just sit. So I don't know. Karinetta says that's wild. Ola says because he didn't want her, he a nut job. Who does that ish? Some of these women do show the flaws, and I would ask, do they work on it? If a woman do some out of character, that man will think about her ex. Do he put up with what she is doing? Ain't nothing to work on. He was being a jerk. I don't think all men do that. Right. I don't think they do it. Deshaun, everyone has flaws. Nope. Karinetta, do you be surprised? It's some weird ninjas getting married for the wrong reasons. Everyone has flaws. About just 5% or even less. If a man purposely doing that, he is purposely reserving his spot in hell. That's some devious ish because he playing with folks' life. It's all bad, but with sex and babies having is on women because they control that. Cam status give him that opportunity, and women are game because of his status. They get caught up on projecting those isolated issues onto the absolute group. Men with true purpose don't play those games. Exactly. I agree with that. That's something I hear women do, right? What happened to all of crew season logic and stats? At the end of the day, a lot of folks that don't understand what marriage is and get married, and it failed because they're too selfish and immature. This is ideal. They have a backup plan in the relationship. Some women. I hear women say they do it because men are crazy. That's why before I propose one day, I'm gonna make sure she know what we getting into. They have a backup plan in a relationship. Some women, right. Yeah, I just don't think that's most men. There might be some men out there doing it, but I don't think it's a whole lot. It just sounds like something women would do to me. You know, oh, I'm not going, when women are done in a relationship, they start to show it. They start to do things because they don't care. They don't care what you think. They're at their wits' end, and they don't care no more. So they just start doing stuff. They start going out and not caring or doing whatever, and because they're done. It sounds more like what women do. I don't think that is most men doing that at all, but that's that. But I think a lot of women be ready, like they be ready and waiting for somebody to say, the men are the problem, and men do this and men do that, and see, I told you the problem with the men. I think we should be more open to the other person, the male perspective as women. We should be, and just like men should be open to what women have to say too, because if you want to work with a person, if you want to be in a relationship with the opposite sex, then you need to understand their perspective. You need to understand where they're coming from. It's not, because otherwise it's just not going to work. You need to understand that person's thought process and yours, and y'all come to an agreement or understanding at least. That's how you compromise. That's how you work together. You can't work together with a person without understanding where they're coming from or not seeing their perspective. That's why I say with relationships, communication is key. Communicating, being able to express your thoughts and your feelings, because we as women, we have emotions, we have feelings. They're not going anywhere. And we like to express our emotions and our feelings, but it could be in a calm, way, loving way. It doesn't have to be obnoxious and just, anger. It doesn't have to have anger associated with it. You should be able to calmly express your feelings, and the other person should be open to listening just as much as you want that person to listen to you. So you have to be able to communicate in a calm manner, in an effective manner, and both of you listen to the other person without it being anger and exploding and everybody mad and in their feelings. That's what I think most people need to work on, because I think if that could happen, a lot of people there would be more relationships, because I think communication is the key. If you're trying to communicate with somebody and they're yelling and screaming and they're in their feelings and they're just so bitter and mad, that throws the other person off. So now that person is going to match that energy. So now you got two screaming people, and y'all not hearing each other when y'all screaming. Y'all not hearing each other when it's in an anger, and when the anger is there, when the frustration is there. So effective communication is the key, in my opinion. If you can do that and hear each other, and then you can calmly express what you thought. A lot of times people are arguing over things that don't make any sense, that ain't really that serious, but because y'all are yelling, you can't hear the other person, and then that's just chaotic, and you keep doing that, and then now you're like, I'm tired of this shit, and then that one is out the door and it's over. So yeah, if the problem is people don't know how to effectively communicate. That's one of the major issues that I think why people break up, and they're just tired, because they're tired of trying to be heard. Everybody just want to be heard. I don't think you should want to be right all the time. You should just want to at least be heard. Hear the person out, hear what they're saying, and care about what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just thought of that. So I think communication is key. You can have good relationships if you're willing to listen to the other person. It can't be my way or the highway, because nobody's going to want to deal with that. Nobody's going to want to fall for that. Let's move on, you guys. So here's another clip I want you guys to react to.
It was never a question of if I knew how much truck drivers make, because I don't really care.
I ain't gonna hold you. You got me tighter than the booty hole up here.
Now, these are the people, like the cast, some of the cast from the Balloon Pop show. And the caption says, 23-year-old single mother of two says she can't date a truck driver because his job is boring and he's not a boss. So let's continue.
Because do you know how many good men are truck drivers?
Yeah.
To hear you say that.
There's nothing wrong with a good man being a truck driver. It's just that of my options that I have to pick from, the one that I was attracted to the least was the one that just said truck driver and gave no context description or nothing else.
And I feel like she has the right to say that.
But hear me out though, respectfully, I could see why men be frustrated, because I'm ready to pull my hair out, because you did not give a concise answer. They asked you 15 million times, can you give me an example of a job? And you answered it every butcher way but the question.
There's no.
So basically, and that's some of the cast from the Balloon Pop show. Basically, the woman was saying she wouldn't date a truck driver because they're boring and they're not a boss. And then I guess she tried to explain it. So she, because there are certain women out here who don't like men for their job or their job description, which is crazy to me. Like, there are a lot of women who don't want to date plumbers. But this is, it's ridiculous, because they're the very ones who are out here talking about, I need a man to make six figures. I need him to make six figures. I need him to make money. He all of these things, but not, don't realize the types of jobs that actually make the money that they're saying they want. this is the confusing part about a lot of these women, because they don't know what they're talking about. They're just talking. So there are women who don't want to date plumbers because they don't like the type of work it is. They don't want men who are welders or any of the jobs that don't seem like cute jobs to them, or jobs where the men don't seem like they're a boss. Because in their minds, a boss is a man who is, has a corporate job, and he's the head of the company. He's a CEO of the company, and he runs everybody. He's the boss. He's a CEO, and he got to dress. He got to look a certain way, and he's controlling and running the show. But at the same time, they don't understand, okay, if he does have that type of job, he's not going to have much time for you. See, they want a man who's what they view as a boss, a CEO, who has unlimited amount of money to just travel, unlimited amount of time to just play with them all day and take them shopping and do all these things for them and show up to their friends in a nice fancy car and make them look good in front of their family. It's a movie. It's a fairy tale. It's a storyline in a movie that they want. It's something they've seen in a movie that they are now projecting into real life and thinking that that's what they're going to get. Because in real life, even if a man is a CEO of his own company, baby, he's not going to have time for you. He's got to work. What they don't realize is a man who is a CEO of his company, he has to work 10 times harder than a man who has a 9-to-5. So it's not like TV where if he is taking a trip, it's probably a business trip where he has to work. And it's not like the movies. He has to, when you have your own business, you got to work 10 times harder to maintain it because it's yours. So he probably work more hours than a guy who's working a 9-to-5. So he's not going to have time to be home with you lollygagging and shooting the shit. He got to work. He's responsible for his business. So it's more work that he has to pour into it to make sure that it grows. It's a movie. It's a line, it's a script that these women want in real life. And they can never find it because it's not realistic. You want a man who got time to travel, pay for everything, do all of this stuff, not realizing that is unrealistic. And then they're wondering why they can't find it because, baby, it doesn't exist. Not saying you can't have a man that could travel, but he still got work to focus on. If he make a lot of money, he got to maintain that money. You just don't make money and then say, oh, let's just go spend it all. He has to work. He has to maintain the money. He has to make sure that the money is still coming in. He got to make sure that his business affairs are in order. He got to make sure that he can maintain what he has worked hard for. It just don't, like I said with marriage, you don't just get married and boom, that's it. All right, now everything goes out the drain. We just married now. We don't have to work on it. We don't have to do anything. We here. We made it. No, the work starts when you get that business. When you start that business, the work starts. When you get married, the work starts. It just doesn't just stop there. But they're so misinformed. They're just going off of a feeling and what they think, and they don't really have the real actual information. And this is where you fall short. You know what I'm saying? So this idea of a certain job and a certain look is how a lot of these women look. Your job has to look good. It has to look like it means something. When a lot of these plumbers make good money, all of these jobs that what they have to do, it's hard work. They make good money. They don't want a bus driver, but they telling me, because I don't know the bus driver salaries, but people are telling me in certain states, bus drivers do pretty damn well. So you don't want a bus driver because, oh, that's frowned upon. Girl, your man a bus driver. Ha, 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 like your children. It's a job. Oh, he a plumber. Oh, girl, he clean, fix toilets. Oh, what kind of job is that? It's a job that pays well. Men take care of themselves and their families doing their job really well. So they want the look of it all. And to me, that's just really dumb, to be blunt. It doesn't make any sense. Everything is about a facade. Everything is about a look, not about what it actually is. And that's what's ruining a lot of these women and the men that they pick. You're not picking based on what's real. You're picking on what you think it should look like and all of this other BS that has nothing to do with healthy relationships and marriages and good men. So it's just a mess. Queen of Vibes says that's why they want drug dealers and scammers, because that's their way of having a rich guy that can still give them all the time in the world. Nah, I'm good with all that. Exactly. Queen of Vibes. Yeah, you drug dealers and scammers, you willing to risk your livelihood knowing that, and you okay with a man risking his livelihood, his freedom, because you want him to run around with you and spend all his money, knowing that anytime he can get, deleted in that lifestyle or go to jail. It's just insane. It's insane. So, that's why I say the mentality has to change overall when it comes to women. The mentality has to change. How you think about relationships and men have to change. What you think about yourself has to change. How you see yourself has to change. If you really want something that's legitimate and real when it comes to relationships, you got to do the work. You can't think that everything is supposed to be, upfront and you don't have to do anything and you could just sit back and just be however you want to be 300 pounds, sit there, just do whatever. And the men are the ones who have to always level up constantly, always have to level up, always have to, give you what you want. That's not conducive to healthy relationships at all. And so once again, nothing is going to change. It's all going to be this hyena talk and lifestyle for a lot of these women. They're going to be doing this 5-10 years from now till the men just completely leave them alone, or men just when they start seeing these men build families with other races of women and really creating families with other women and children and all of that, then they're going to look around and really, when it gets so bad to where men are really just isolating themselves for real and making families with all, you see more men, black men starting to make babies and families with these other women, then they're going to really look and be like, damn, what we really done screwed the pooch when it's really, really too late. So listen, a lot, has to be done. A lot has to be done. And if they're not willing to do the work, well, it's just what it is. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. And, and it's not all up to the men. Women have to do something too. Men can only do so much, it takes two. But this is how they want the relationships to go. I want a man who's obsessed with me and a man who's all into me because you want him to do what you want him to do while you just be as ratchet as possible. You don't want to make him a sandwich. You don't want to do nothing. You don't want to, dress like a lady, present yourself ladylike. You want to look like a 304, walk around like one, act like one, go out in the streets, party with your friends, all these girls trips. All these things you just want to do as ratchet as possible, and you want a man just to stick beside you and continue to pay for these bags and shoes and just fund your lifestyle while he sit back and let you just do whatever you want. That's unrealistic, and that's quite frankly stupid for any man to settle for something like that, because it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's just a dumb idea. And to me, any man who settles for something like that, well, you must want to be mistreated, because that's what that boils down to, mistreatment. And this is all these women are about. You want to be able to just be as reckless as you want to be, and you want a man to accept it. Bottom line. So I'm going to leave it here, you guys. Thank y'all so much for being here on this Sunday. I appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. Shout out to everybody who gave super chats or cash apps or liked the live stream. Thank y'all so much for your support. It actually helps the channel out a lot. So I'm going to leave it here, you guys. I will be back really, really soon. Make sure you are watching the videos on the channel and supporting the channel by liking the videos and sharing them if you can, y'all. That definitely helps out as well. Also, if you haven't hit the notification bell to be reminded when I go live or post new content, make sure you hit the notification bell and click all. That way you will get all of my content. All right. So thank y'all once again for being here. Stay locked into the channel, you guys. I have more videos and live streams coming for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to my second channel if you haven't already. Also, if you want to become a channel member, go ahead and become a channel member. That actually supports the channel as well. So y'all be safe. Take care in these streets. Y'all be safe out here, you guys. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Bye.